Gonna play some flute music. Welcome. So I'm gonna keep going with shallograms. Another episode of shallograms. See my last episode for some information on how they form. I'm just gonna assume anyone watching this is aware of previous context. Okay, that these are formed by currents and are not fossils of living creatures. Okay. So this one, it's a little blurry. It has a pretty linear feature of little circles here that connect to that one. Like at the tip, there's a circle there that just continues in this case. Line over there as well. At least this portion. That looks kind of maybe related to those. That as well, and this one became more tooth-like. Lots of features. I'm not sure what to make of it exactly, these things. I'm just pointing out features. This fracture, this divide here, going back to a more typical ammonite, like lobe structure, maybe pointing to over here. Although there appears to be something in this along this axis. Some teeth over there. Bunch of just dots where like current etched in small little points or came out, because this kind of seems like it was coming out and creating teeth, and then over here it was coming out, but it did so by eruption, like up and through the shale without actually dividing the shale. More linear features that may or may not have been the last ones over here. I don't know. I don't think so. No. Lots of things in linear features. We also can kind of see a bending here that maybe relates to over here, like a region here. Also, we kind of see the chamber of an ammonite. Like this is the nucleus, and then spiraling out maybe here to like out here, like a chamber thing at the tail end of the ammonite shape, just subtly beginning enough to show features, but not enough to be like sensical from a fossilization standpoint that there would be such a thing present. That's interesting. Down there as well, maybe almost like punching little holes for a ammonite spiral shape, but only doing that and having like chakras generally related to this. Even having like shallograms have like this kind of thing, as well as like different layers over on this side. Is that pictured elsewhere? Not yet. There's that thing that comes out from there. It's a boundary to it generally. Some teeth over here for no reason that are abnormally shaped. Incredible. This side just gouged again with the little puncture holes. Little puncture holes. Wow. I've never seen just strings of puncture holes. There's some more. Possibly some more there. And then it starts to wobble and become wave-like splits here. That's incredible. This thing here kind of in line with the base of this, and then the protruding portion of this. Maybe a current came across this way generally and pushed this boundary, held a boundary here, and created this for some reason. This even looks like it really kind of deflects down towards that corner. I don't know. Maybe this, some reason, goes up that way, creating an overall region. I don't know why it would do that. You can subtly see ammonite features in there, like the bars. Very subtle though. A sort of top, like nucleus region maybe. So that's that one. I mean, this one's incredible. All those little puncture holes. Eruption points, maybe. Like a current was cutting a short circuiting rather than going all the way around. It took a path across this bend one way or the other, and then underneath the shale, but then as it progressed, it erupted also along the way. But that eruption, like, allowed pressure release in that direction, but then it erupted into, like, pressure, so that only could erupt so much before then it allowed for the current to progress further and then erupt again, and just sequentially do that. Maybe not like so step by step, but where it's just like boom, 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 but maybe like current going across and then just pressure building and erupting at certain points that could only erupt so much. That then led to like a string of them that could have produced a more, across time, potentially more like continuous fracture looking thing, like more like this. Maybe more like that. I don't know, because it's puncture holes. Okay. So this one, this little thing there, that little thing there is relatively above the chakras. This is in line, whatever's going on there, and whatever's going on there. Also relatively parallel, maybe a little slope towards this way from the bottom comparatively. This is that face we can see here. So then across that way, that's pretty interesting. Like that, where this is going across within the boundary of this is another boundary that's not really typical. Also, this kind of comes to a point here, which then leads into right there, and even like forms layers down here with a straight path here that above it like feeds into there, and then the next one wraps around where this one stops here So it produces like an inlet channel here, I guess, over into here, while maybe generally the current wraps around and current gets like focused along a channel this way to then go through the layers. I don't know. But then over again on the side we see that thing like going across the middle there. So across the middle, that thing kind of leads into this one, which also the bottom of this lobe connects with a little fracture across there to this one. As well as these chakras are totally abnormal. Like, this is not fully formed whatsoever. Is even cutting off this chakra completely. And into to like remove the material, maybe like the layers would become more chakra-like if this had formed more within, where there was still a chakra, but it was removing exterior material. But it just didn't do that. It formed a very lobe-like thing here that kind of connects over here, and then over here, and then this like mass that occupies this space. So when it goes over here, it looks like it either drains in, like it has nowhere to go, so it goes down into the rock because there's current above it holding pressure that's just swirling around this, like pushing into it. So the water doesn't like have the capacity to just freely go out this way. So it travels along the rock until it has nowhere to go. It goes up this way, but it just can't keep going and connect through really. So it ends up etching into here to then go the other direction maybe, which would have perhaps started to create a more typical ammonite shape by doing a step-by-step process where it created a smaller lobe and then a larger lobe, and then this larger lobe started to etch to go in the other way, and maybe would have came out producing another lobe that's even larger, but just didn't have the capacity to. Some chakras there, little missing patch there. This one's just kind of got weird layers this way. We can really see like a belt here. Like, what's that moon? Moon with belts. What? Round planet. The moon. Fuck. Oh my god. Space. No. Moons of... Let's say Saturn. I don't even know what planet it is. Iapetus. It's got like an actual belt around the equator. Kind of like a shallogram. It's very shallogram-like. There's a good image of it. Mountain range on Saturn's moon, Iapetus, may be a former ring. Is that what that said? But it's kind of like that. How it has this protrusion-ish, like, structure to it. Okay. So current seems to have generally wrapped around the rock. Probably in both directions. So imagine, like... currents around Jupiter. I guess I should go to YouTube. Jupiter clouds. like this, probably. Motion. It's going this way, going this way, going this way, going this way, all sorts of things, going this way, going this way, going this way, going this way, maybe. But like, lots of this. And at the boundaries is where turbulence happens, which then tends to do wave-like features of teeth. In this case, it seems to have etched this side of the shallogram more than this side. So there's the belt. There's that feature we can see here with this going out this way. There's the chakras. Kind of like along here, pointing generally at like a pole, maybe? Possibly. I'm not sure. Like maybe that points up to there, to like right there. At least like this segment does. And then there's even like a stretch in the rock there. So maybe there's like an equatorial connection for this energy flow, as well as a polar, where it's like tapping into the pole, tapping into an equatorial current flow where energy is like in a belt, like focused and be more turbulent, just more like flow rate present. That's kind of, in this case, compressing a mound there, I guess, without etching it because of the pressures, I guess, since it's more central to the rock. So all sorts of things here. Connection through. So the shale has a connection point, maybe a feed point, where the like bulk of the surface shale is flowing over here, able to, and like whatever's flowing here across, cuts across, but is like not able to remove the shale completely, where over here it overwhelmed the shale layering, as well as other places. Another one over here, another ammonite shape forming, where this is interesting. It's really tiny teeth, and then over here it gets pretty large. So belt here. Can even see like in the rock this some wobbliness here. It's like got some rippling element to it. Some kind of thing going on here, which looks related to this boundary. Like there. There's even like a current coming out that way, going in through it like that. Seemingly. As well as maybe like that. So many nuances here. I don't know what exactly to make of this area, except for that it has really interesting features again. Like, same shalogram. I'm not sure where the belt is. The belt is relative to this one. It's probably, I guess it's around here. Not so visible in this one. There's that connection. So there's the belt. Connection, so the belt must be there somewhere. Okay. This is interesting. Like, what's going on here? Why? Look at the teeth of this. There's teeth that go over this way, which is relatively okay in terms of ammonites. In terms of fossils, there's teeth over here, which is relatively fine. But then there's teeth right here. What is that? What is this block? Where's the teeth over here then? Why is this like right from this point, right at the furthest point, teeth come out of it and go over and connect to this and then kind of go that way? This is incredible. I just realized this chunk here is part of an ammonite right here that's like missing. It's like the back of one, and off of it, very much like what we just saw here, like on the back of it, off of it, a current flow. Imagine there's an ammonite here. In this case, off the back of it, let's say there's a current flow through here. Off of this one that then spawned an ammonite on its side, which probably is why this is so anomalous, because this is influencing the currents coming off of this, so that it like comes across and is like protected by the divots that it's etching, and it manages to come over to this region where it then goes across and like pushes current going out this way to then go up this way. I didn't even notice that. Oh my god. Oh my god, what are we looking at? The same shalogram has this over here. Where is that? Okay, there's this. There's something going on there. So it's probably... I don't even know. So there's another one. It's top and it's base that feeds into it, I guess. Like, this looks like a top. Where its base is huge. What? What? Oh my god. Is this an ammonite? Dudes, if this is also an ammonite. Oh my god, that's all. That's all the images. This is kind of doing the lobes. Lobe here, it also runs into resistance and like goes narrower. It's on both sides. but then lobe here, angled weird. It's hard to say what we're looking at here. Where is that? Maybe coming off of right here. That seems plausible. Is there a fracture there? Is this... yeah. This right here is this right here. I guess going up that way. Through that light color. There. So off of this right here, like this is putting a current this way that then goes over here, which intersects with the current that's coming off of this going this way, that then goes over here, and I guess interacts with a current going underneath this, like this way, from the opposite side of this ammonite. Like this is forming by undercurrent as well, that's then coming up underneath this structure, and then I guess fanning out like that. Possibly. It doesn't seem like the way that it cuts in here is a little odd if that's the case. I guess it's possible because of the pressure here that it would like go up and then get pushed out by the pressure to just cut across this way and kind of just slice a path out along this whole path, especially here as like a main drainage point. Oh, maybe this is where the ammonite structure is right there, and then the drainage point is here. Ammonite, drainage point. Drainage point that then feeds into this, fans out, and like ramps off enough to get off to stop etching into the surface, basically. It reaches a region around the rock where there's less pressure, so it can like move away from the surface more. This here is also quite parallel with this. This rock, this shallogram definitely disproves physics, geology, biology, archaeology, history, consensus. The consensus in those fields, this shallogram alone disproves it. And is not uncommon for shallograms to do, but this one's doing it real well. Holy, all its nuances. There's also some teeth up there. Maybe related to this one. Going back, so it's like a layer of one there, maybe that's this one that really goes back to even there to that mound, like wrapping around and pushing that mound. This must be this. That must be this. Okay, that is this. So it's producing this over around there. Interesting, it literally, like the mound that I call the top is actually like an ammonite. It's not like this portion. I would expect it to have been like this portion, but it's kind of like this is where this ammonite is forming off of this ammonite, Whereas this ammonite is forming within this ammonite that was like had a chakras here. Let's see, like they're like more in line with this fracture is chakras here, like actually like its center is its center. I don't want to, is this fracture. So there was an ammonite structure forming here that then some reason destabilized and formed its final ammonite, like Australia, like the magnetic anomaly map in Australia that I frequently mention, where it used to have a nucleus here, but there's really a final nucleus over here. Like, this is very much like what happened in this case, where it had this, but then it formed a new nucleus over here, and this nucleus is not really a chakra anymore, if ever. Like, it might have been a chakra. It looks like there might be some subtle lines pointing to it. Also, there's clear like paths this way, so some balance point where current coming across this way, current coming across this way, ran into each other and produced a spiral eddy that I guess went, let's see, if it goes this way and bends by this current, let's say, like some of it goes up and bends while some of it goes over and goes out that way. So what goes up and bends start to like cycle like this, where it then produces an eddy this way that pushes out boundary over here. But then this one possibly had this one had current flow from over here going this way and down and into it, which then would have ran into, so if it's coming down, it's gonna run into this and be caused to spin this way underneath it though. So they're both going that way, I guess. In this case, that would be my interpretation. I'm gonna have to look to see if I can find more images. I'm fairly certain, because I only have 3, that there only were 3. But I did not notice how incredible the features of this one was until I hit record. I just thought it was pretty interesting. Like, I think the only thing anomalous I really picked up on was this. That was like telling. Okay. Etches in or out of there. Possibly from within, like erupting out of like the top, maybe even like the high point, like just erupting out of it, possibly related. I don't know. This one reminded me of the arrowhead, which I think I found it. It's mentioned it before, so I think I found it. Nope, not in there. It must be in related. Here's an interesting image from a Hawaiian lava flow that I've referenced before. I'll try to put the video in where this is rotating this way like currents flowing over here runs into a hill, so it's caused to bend around this way. But the solidifying upper layer is caused to like basically catch on the boundary and rotate along it due to friction. And so it starts to wind up this material, but then it pushes out over here against resistance, where this starts to wind over here in the opposite direction. Kind of related, not identical to what we were just looking at with the ones on their backs of one another. It's okay. I was gonna point to this arrowhead. So I have an arrowhead episode, and basically the arrowhead has currents that look like this, and I'm saying, well, if we trace the currents like shallograms, this arrowhead looks to be of the result of current flows and not shaped by anyone. Here's why kind of things in that video. And this one looks to have the same feature, more so etched into it than within the flows of the material as the arrowhead has. But like, notice this starts here, this starts here, this starts generally here. This maybe is related to the peak, like a middle point, I don't know. There also seems to be something going across right here. A little thing in there too, like a chakra, one of these, tiny one. Okay, opposite face, this has a hole through it. So maybe this goes all the way through and out there, unclear. Little diamond shape, single lobe. That maybe like the second lobe was just able to evacuate the flow, so it didn't actually etch into the surface there. Another one with a bar. This one actually kind of narrows. Makes me think of the these ones, how they can narrow like that. And not narrow. Then just a little couple shallogram looking features. Looks like this might have a second one over here that's not this one. Which is a little weird. If it, maybe even there something going on. Opposite face, another little indentation where current just was like etching into it, I guess. More traditional shallogram chakras and like a cave. The way that one is looks kind of cave-like. I guess the current got in more in a circular way, but then erupted out of making it more oblong. I don't know. This is cool, the way it's like perfectly etched around it. Doesn't make sense for a coincidence to produce this. This cannot be done without intention. Without a like flowing current that ultimately someone did. So kind of intention. By the flood happening. It can't just happen by time and erosion. Like a flow over top this would do it more uniformly. There's no reason for this whatsoever. These stones are simply not explained scientifically of the same nature as in their geological nature. They're explained like in passing geologically, but then really they're focused on as religious stones and not geologically considered, really. They're just ammonites, and like this feature, which is not present on ammonites anywhere except shallograms, is totally unknown to people studying ammonites because they don't look at shallograms, because they're just either not aware of them or just considered to be like too religious and just who cares because there's other ammonites. And so people look at other ammonites, but the thing is, other ammonites don't have these features that distinguish their formation process. This is really interesting in there. Some kind of rotating chakra pillar that's like leaning against the wall, it looks like. Another opening, possibly related to this one, the opposite side. Looks like maybe a chakra in there. Who knows what that looks like inside? Except people can see it directly. Another one, I took some pictures of small ones just to show some variation. I don't think I went through these. If I did, my bad. I think I went through, yeah, I went through some other ones. This looks a little bit ammonite-like with this little extension over here, but more of this nature still, which is interesting. That because these look more like discs that have like divides throughout, and then a little node at the center. Then they do look like ammonites, but in this case, it's got a bit more of an ammonite shape. More pillar. So these pillars are relevant for reasons also with another ammonite that I have nearby. Just some current paths that we can see on the surface. Some etchings, a little bar across the middle maybe. I don't know what that was. I guess that was just the opposite face of this one. Okay. So that's the opposite side. So possibly there's some relationship to like maybe that one like influencing the opposite side enough to do that. I don't know if its location makes sense. Here's another crack coming out the very tip. Why would fossils do that? That's what currents would do. Like if they flowed, if this like flow entered into a region, it would get focused to a focal point and then explode in a jet through that focal point if enough energy is present, where then it does this. But that's not what fossils do. That's not part of a fossil. Fossils don't have this component. They have another chamber, if anything. What is this doing there? It's explained by just ignoring it and not explaining it, because, again, the thing with shallograms is they're very unique. They're very peculiar. They have a lot of nuances that make each one of them unique in this way, although similar also. Like this here, there's a little thing coming off the top of that one and off of like relatively like a third and a third, which I talked about recently. There's a little circle over there, a little circle. I don't know what to make of those things exactly. Some more etching over here. Little lobe off of this, and then again off of this, like, I guess a lobe type structure forming here off of its tip has a current flow there, as well as possibly some kind of connection back over there across here, sort of like that. This looks like it connects to just to the side of the chakra. here. Actually, or there. It might be that one. So this connects over to here. It's possible that a current flow comes out this way and kind of ramps over another current to get off the rock this way, but in so doing, that current etches this way and like builds up pressure here, but just wobbles and etches into the surface like this. And then some equilibrium existed. Also, this is from Mangulum Jewelry now, this one. I think all the others were from Rudraksh Guru, so now we're back to some other ones that are from different places. Just also this little feature in there that's kind of ammonite-esque, but not formed fully at all. Okay, another one with an opening that's kind of weird shaped. Some teeth up here for some apparent reason. Some blobbiness to it. Teeth over here. Kind of bend and form some weird structure here. Go straight to this little thing and then seem to stop with another little thing there. Bendingness there. Teeth type thing there with that. Some chakra related features. Two lobes across a pillar that's related to this like point here, and then down here 2 lobes across a pillar, even though these are like teeth. These are clearly related to teeth. They're still forming like a 2-lobe type structure. And then this goes up here, which then relates to that, I guess, and also forms like a boundary that this, whatever's going on here, current this way, fills that space and etches in and pushes down and compacts the shale without like really changing the material in essence. Not sure if those make sense on this, maybe, as being like part of it. Cross current here, we can see there are some lines going that way that seem to go possibly just all across, and then this, which would again suggest intersection of currents. Whatever's going on back there. I guess that could be part of it. Some weird teeth shape down here. Some little puncture holes again in a row. Okay. Another one with like a thing across its top. Nucleus, some more scratches. This one seems related to this boundary. That's the one going across this side, I guess. Up and over, so it kind of goes around the back of it. That looks really like current came through and made like big openings that are way too big to make any damn sense. It's too much erosion in one location. If this is happening over a gradual process, it should just be more like random flows. Like they shouldn't be just continuously being directed through here. Like current can also flow in this direction. I mean, it's not coming through, and I think it's coming out of here, but let's say it's going in here. Like it shouldn't just continuously go through this hole because current's flowing in that direction. Like current flows in a lot of directions. So like if it's just kind of millions of years of current flows, like to me it's a hard sell that it's being etched only in one location. Like specific locations perfectly. Pardon me. And then some more straight line etches. This one fans out over here and bends. It kind of ramps, actually. Looks like it goes relatively straight, but then ramps. I don't know why exactly. This looks possibly related as a boundary. Very cool. Subtle one of these forming here, but not formed. We can see the current flows etching its surface so well. How epic. Very cool, very cool. Oh wow. Lots of little craters in a row. Very reminiscent of this. Maybe not the identical process, possibly the inverse, like above the surface, below the surface, maybe, or vice versa. Or this probably below the surface, that one maybe above the surface. Along the surface for the moon, I don't know. A video of it, okay. This one, what the dudes? What ammonite makes sense of this? There's no sense to be made of this from a fossil standpoint. This pillar, remember when I said remember these pillars? It was because of this pillar. This pillar cannot be explained by fossilization. And then this, like the material, the way it's smooth, like over here, as well as smooth here, but like especially here, it's almost like a mud looking, I don't know, something smooth and wet where it didn't form like really defined structures in it. And then this pillar, I mean, it is something else. These little dendroid looking things going up this way. Like what? Is there a subtle one of those like spray nozzle shaped ones? No explanation. Only currents can do this. I don't know exactly why and how it did this. Like, it's the same reason that it forms the pillars in the other ones. It formed a pillar here, although it also formed more traditional ammonite shapes. Possibly because of size. Like, I've never seen one this big that just looks like a pillar like the other ones. They tend to be in small rocks that are just not as able, maybe. Like, it's used because it's using the same materials. Like, it requires a sufficient sized matrix to form a more defined outcome. That makes sense to me. And so, like, when the current etches into the smaller ones, it ends up just producing more of like a pillar. Just incredible. I don't know what else to say, really. I'm looking around for anything particular. Top of it, I guess, bottom of it. Video. I might have the pictures of this. I just took the pictures in case I didn't. That's just, I'm pretty sure I have the pictures of this, though. Chakras, lots of gold distributed throughout. Like a little node at the center. That's interesting. Well, not quite at the center. Maybe the chakra. Where's the chakra? Like maybe here. Right near this thing. Or maybe near this. Like below. Like if we could like point directly up through this. Maybe it would point around that thing. I think that's that. So point like right next to it. Possibly here. Anyway, but there's these things there. There's this container of the gold material that's got like a connection point to. That's as well as this maybe going around like this and like starting to form some sort of boundary. Possibly because the gold going in, the material was like cycling and there was so much of it in this that entered into the shallogram in general when it was forming that it like backlogged and erupted out back this way. I don't know. It's to have it be connected through and then this huge mound over here. And just like a layer, like it formed a layer atop it. That's interesting. It's kind of like that. Like what? We can see a line like there. And then over there. Maybe it's not exactly in line. It's pretty close. This goes possibly up to that point. Let's see. To that point, which maybe goes along that boundary there. Like, what's going on here? It's like an ammonite. This material that like got deposited in a layer atop the outer portion of this because it's atop it, then had an outflow of current coming out this way that then ended up below it, as well as like out from this way and up this way to go up this way, where it went below it. And then it seems to have, because it was trapped, started to like spiral in an eddy at this exit point along this axis, I guess, for some particular reason. Like it was coming out from this side and meeting here, and then shooting out in a beam that just like went along this way in 3 dimensions, pretty much, etching this path. So shooting out especially here, but in this case it had this mound atop it, which was like flowing kind of this way. So it had this interaction that I guess just produced an eddy until this piece like broke off under the pressure of it all, and this was able maybe to like relieve pressure along the fracture point. Like maybe through there, something to relieve the pressure. So there's that chunk, right? There's that chunk from the opposite side. Like it's clearly a chunk on the surface that I would say erupted in a backwelling of the material, just like accumulating and not being able to go down the drain. Like the shale is going down the drain, the water's going down the drain, out the other side and coming up. Some of the gold material also, and being distributed in here, but not enough because there was so much of it that it just backlogged and instead went the other way to form this mound. That's my thoughts. As well as like saturating maybe the ammonite itself, flowing even over here. You can kind of see maybe currents doing something of that nature. I don't know. Something's going to cross. Maybe. Okay, how's that music going? It's been long done, huh? 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Okay, that's probably good. I'll stop there. What number am I on? I don't think I have that many left, though. Pretty sure I already did 460. It's fine. I have at least like 6 or 8. I mean, 6 or 8 is like an hour sometimes. I'll be back. Probably after I hit stop, maybe. Peace.